Hey, hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm laughing right now because this is definitely like the seventh time I've tried to start recording this episode because every time it's like I trip over my words or like I snort or one of the dogs barks or something like that. So we will see how this round goes. No one's perfect, so I'm going to try to muscle right through this. But anyway, I am so dang grateful that you have hit play on today's episode. I love showing up in your earbuds every week. You know this. And today's topic is super exciting for me. I know I also say that every week, but hey, what can you do when you're a nerd and you just love talking about strategy and social media marketing? But anyway, today we are talking about brand collaborations and how you can partner with other brands online to come together and support each other and boost each other's visibility and sales and growth and just make more connections and feel supportive online, right? So this is one of those topics that I love so much because it's definitely something that I feel deeply in my soul. I love, love, love making friends with people online. I actually was able to meet up in person with several of my Feel Good Social Clubbers this summer. And it was so fun to meet these people who I consider friends for the past few years, right? I met up with them in person and it just felt so natural and wonderful and real. And so that's just one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this topic because I know that online connections can be real. I know how amazing it is to feel the support of other business owners online. I know how powerful it can be for your business to partner with another business and lift each other up online. Like two heads are better than one and two brands are better than one, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode, deep diving into the what, the why, the how, the who of brand collaborations. Who do you want to collaborate with online, right? So this might be an episode where you want to go grab a pen and paper. If you're a note taker type of person, you may want to either like whip out your notes app on your phone or go grab a pen and paper to jot down ideas as they come to you in this episode, because I'm definitely going to be deep diving into the strategy, deep diving into questions that you might want to ask yourself as you're planning brand collaborations and all that jazz. I cannot wait to dive into this topic. Let's go ahead and do this thing. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. All right, my friend. Now, before we dive into brand collaborations and how you can partner with other brands online, I do want to give you a quick little life update. If you have been a longtime listener of the Feel Good Social podcast, you may know that earlier this year, Brett, my partner, and I actually got engaged, and we were kind of planning for a long engagement, but as it happened, I ended up actually planning a micro wedding for us that happened on Halloween of this year. So if you're interested in hearing about the wedding planning process at all, definitely head back to episode 145. I deep dive into how I planned the event and the theme and tried to make it feel cohesive and all that jazz. So if you're interested in that, definitely go back 145, give it a listen. But when I recorded that episode, we hadn't yet actually gotten married, right? It was about 2 weeks before the wedding that I recorded that episode. And so this is actually the first episode that I am recording after we got married. As a married woman. So I just had to share That yes, indeed, we did get married. The wedding went through. I was a little bit like in episode 145, I think I joked, like, it hasn't happened yet. So let's hope that, nothing goes terribly wrong and we actually do get married. Well, nothing went terribly wrong. It was a beautiful day. I was a little bit worried because it snowed like 3 days before the wedding, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, like what if it's pouring rain or pouring snow? It was like an outdoor wedding, right? In the Denver Botanic Gardens. But no, it was 60 degrees, beautiful. There were even still leaves on the trees, which I was like, wasn't sure if was going to happen, especially with the snow. But no, the leaves were beautiful, yellows and oranges, and they were still there. It was 60 degrees. It was a super intimate affair with like family and a few friends, just very, very minimal, but it was just a wonderful day. And so I had to share that and celebrate with you just in case you've been following along on the journey and you're like, wait, Kins, like, did the wedding actually happen? Yes, it did, my friend. Thank goodness. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into brand collaborations because this is one of my favorite topics. And I wanted to start out talking about this by really quickly just addressing the idea of community over competition, right? Because I think that this is something that can pop up for a lot of us when we start to think about partnering with fellow brands online, right? This is especially something that a lot of us deal with when we are just starting out. Like I know I did, right? You start your business, you're thrown into the online space, and all of a sudden you see all of these other brands that are similar to yours doing very similar things to yours, right? And I know that that's definitely something that just naturally can pop up for us, right? This like scarcity mindset, this feeling like we need to compete with all of these other brands for our ideal customers instead of really embracing an abundance mindset and the idea that there are enough fish in the sea for everyone. And also that like fish can buy from multiple brands, right? So I just quickly wanted to talk about this as you are thinking about collaborating with other brands. I really want to encourage you to embrace an abundance mindset, right? To remind yourself, yeah, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Yes, I can support and lift up this other brand. Yes, I can be excited for this other brand's success because it's exciting and I love them. And also, in a way, they're showing me that this opportunity is there and that they're inspiring me and showing me that I can do the same as them. I can see the same success as them and all that jazz, right? So if you struggle with a scarcity mindset, or if you feel a little competitive, or if you struggle sometimes with like jealousy of seeing other brands online, totally normal. I have dealt with that. I've dealt with that in the past. I deal with that on, probably a monthly basis. These little feelings creep up for sure. When you look at other brands, you see their success, you're like, oh my gosh, like they're taking away from my success. Like, no, okay. It's normal to have those feelings, but there's definitely a few things that we can do to embrace the abundance mindset, the community over competition mindset, and all that stuff, right? So a few little tricks that I have up my sleeve whenever I'm feeling I become aware of the way I'm feeling, right? Usually. So just be on a lookout for if you're ever feeling kind of jealous or if you're ever feeling like anxiety because you think that someone else is taking your customers away from you or anything like that, right? I always like to remind myself, one, there are plenty of fish in the sea. If I tried to work with every single person in the world, that feels just very overwhelming for me. Like we don't all need every single person in the world to buy from us. So it's fine if like someone decides to go work with another person, right? Also, there's a difference in ideal customers often. And so if you're ever feeling like jealous or bad that someone chose another brand over you or whatever it is, well, they probably weren't exactly your ideal customer. They were the other brand's ideal customer, so that's okay, right? I also like to remind myself to, instead of feel jealous for other people's success, get excited for other people's success, right? Because well, firstly, it just makes me feel better and less icky myself, right? But then it also like shows me that their success is possible and that I can possibly have that success too someday, right? I always think of it when like someone is going on a vacation or something. Like if someone travels to Greece, sometimes people feel jealous about people who are traveling to Greece, right? They're like, oh my gosh, like, well, that girl got to go to Greece, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, well, why don't you just get excited that they got to go to Greece and let that inspire you to try to go to Greece too in the near future, right? Like there's mindset reframes and flips that we can do to help ourselves embrace this abundance mindset. And I really want to encourage you to put those in your back pocket and pull them out whenever you need to, because when you can show up online with better energy, with supportive energy, with excited energy, with collaborative energy, honestly, it not only helps you feel better about showing up online, feel less icky in your soul, but it also helps the other brands who you are partnering with, right? It helps you establish friendships and connections and network in a real, genuine way online so that this can come back around karma wise, right? And you can really help to support each other. And also, when you show up in that energy, it really helps your ideal customers and your business's success, right? Because that energy seeps into every area of your business and how you show up, your conversations. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather buy from a brand that feels very comfortable in who they are, that feels very supportive and collaborative and community oriented, than a brand that feels just like kind of icky or, too cool for school or whatever it is. Like, no, like you showing up in this mindset is going to help everyone. And it's actually going to boost the success of your business and attract your ideal customers to you, right? So always try to, if you're ever feeling kind of weird, try to just catch yourself and pull those little like mindset reframes out of your back pocket and give yourself that good old reality check and embrace abundance and embrace excitement and supportiveness, right? Because that is just so much better. Believe me, I know from personal experience. So anyway, just had to start out the conversation with those little things because I know that can crop up whenever we're talking about this sort of stuff. And so if you ever start to feel that way, rewind this episode and listen to those little mindset hacks again, because it's very, very helpful. And you might need to use them multiple times, right? Because it's a practice. Okay, so let's talk about collaborating with other brands. And when it comes to these episodes, I always really love to touch on the what, the why, and the how. And I also added the who to this outline because I'm definitely going to be touching on who you should be collaborating with online. But let's talk about the what. What the heck am I talking about when I say collaborations with other brands, right? It's basically a brand collaboration is basically when you work together with another brand in a way that is going to be beneficial for both of you, right? So it's like working together on a project or hosting a pop-up sale or giveaway, or just working together and doing something that is going to be beneficial to your brand and to their brand, and also probably your ideal customers as well, right? It can look like a lot of different things, brand collaborations. It's basically an umbrella term for all these different things. And something that I did want to say is that often, like the most common way that people think about brand collaborations are kind of influencers or content creators partnering with other brands, right? So if you follow any influencers online or anything like that, you've probably seen them promoting some brand's product to you. And often they like hashtag it ad or something even, because it's like, or a paid collaboration, it's called even, right? Because, that's kind of how they make money as an influencer or content creator. They partner with brands that they believe in and promote the brand's offers to their audience, right? In exchange for, sometimes it's just a product or offer exchange, but often it's also a monetary exchange too, right? And those are definitely brand collaborations. That's the most common way to think about it. But what I want to point out to you is that brand collaborations can be just kind of like brand to brand as well. You don't have to be an influencer or content creator to collaborate with other brands or even host a brand collaboration, right? It's definitely a thing for brands to partner up with each other, and especially small business owners like us. It's something that I really want to restructure our mindset around and think, oh my gosh, can I partner with my biz besties brand in some way, right? Oh my gosh, there's this brand that I love and I admire so much. Can I partner with them in some way in a brand collaboration? Oh my gosh, there's this brand that perfectly complements my brand. Like their offers go so hand in hand with my offers. How can we collaborate? How can we lift each other up, support each other online, and really gain all the good things that come from brand collaborations, right? So if you are limiting yourself by thinking that brand collaborations are only for influencers or content creators, my friend, let's reframe that thought too, because there are so many different ways that we can all collaborate with other brands, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And I'll dive deeper into what this looks like in a little bit, right? And actually, next week's episode is going to be sharing 8 different ways and fun ideas for collaborating with other brands on social media specifically. So in today's episode, I'm really going to be deep diving into how to plan brand collaborations and stuff. And in next week's episode, I'm going to be deep diving into 8 different specific ways you can collaborate on social media with other brands, right? So keep an eye out for that episode, especially if you like this episode. I'll be deep diving into 8 different ways and ideas you can do that. So come back next Tuesday for that for sure. But anyway, brand collaborations, basically when you partner with another brand and it's beneficial to both of you in some way. So why would you want to do this? Let's really quickly deep dive on the why. Well, if you partner with another brand online, it can really help to boost each other's visibility online, right? Often, Instagram will boost posts more so when 2 brands are working together on them and all that jazz, right? It's kind of the 2 brands are better than one sort of thing, right? If they are putting in the work and you're putting in the work, you have more of an opportunity to reach more people online, and it can help you boost your brand's visibility and make your brand more known to other people and other ideal customers, right? On top of that, you can actually really help to grow each other's audience of warm leads. And I specifically wanted to talk about the warm leads because when you work and collaborate with another brand, it's especially great if it is someone who has very similar ideal customers to you, right? And they've been working to build their community and audience of ideal customers. And you've been working to build your community of ideal customers. And your ideal customers trust you already because you've been nurturing them, you've been building them up, all that different stuff. If you come in and recommend this other brand to them, they will turn into a warmer audience immediately for that other brand just because of your recommendation and because they trust you, right? So it goes both ways, right? When this other brand recommends you to their audience is more likely to like want to buy from you, trust you. They're warmer than if you were just like, trying to market yourself to the cold world, to people who know nothing about you, who don't have any recommendations for your brand or anything like that, right? It's kind of like a marketing term. There's cold leads, warm leads, and hot leads, right? Cold leads are people who don't know anything about your brand, who are just meeting you for the first time, who don't have anyone recommending your brand to them. Warm leads come from people who recommend you, who know a little bit about your brand, who are getting to know your brand, and they're more likely to buy from you, right? So it's really, really beneficial to partner with brands that can recommend your brand to their audience because those people are warmer. Let's just say, right? Okay, what's another reason? It also helps your ideal customers connect with other brands who can help them, right? Which is really wonderful because that actually helps you develop an even deeper trust with your ideal customers, right? So it's helpful for your ideal customers to be recommended other brands who are also helpful for them. And if you're the one doing the recommending, they'll be like, oh yeah, Kins recommended this group. Like, I love her so much. It was so helpful. I'm going to like buy from her again. I'm going to listen to her other recommendations, all that different stuff, right? It's just a way of nurturing your ideal customers and developing trust with them so that they will want to buy from you, continue buying from you, and recommend your brand to their friends too, right? And then it also, helps you boost each other's sales for sure. No matter it depends on like the type of collaboration you're doing and all that different stuff, but it's very, very likely that if you collaborate with another brand, you'll be promoting some sort of something. At least you'll be getting those warm leads, and ultimately your sales and your bottom line will benefit from this collaboration, right? And then finally, it's just fun and it feels good and it helps you to drive deeper connection with your network of other people, right? So it's one of those things, if you can collaborate with another brand and develop a deeper friendship with them and a support system with them, that is ultimately going to be very beneficial for you and for your business, right? If you can develop this relationship with them. And plus it's just fun and it makes you feel good about yourself to like support other people online, right? So anyway, these are all reasons we might want to collaborate with other brands. Let's talk about who you should choose to collaborate with. When it comes to brand collaborations, there's a few things to think of for sure. And the one thing I always want to start with when we're talking about who should I be collaborating with as a brand, right, is just remember that whoever you do collaborate with as your brand is a reflection of your brand, right? So it's one of those things you just want to be very thoughtful and intentional about when it comes to who you're choosing to collaborate with, especially as your brand, because that other person, that other brand that you collaborate with, it is a reflection of your brand in the eyes of your ideal customers, right? So if you do choose to collaborate with someone who doesn't necessarily reflect your brand's values, right? Or that you don't necessarily like believe in or anything like that, it might actually kind of deteriorate, is that how you say that? The trust of your ideal customers, right? Like we don't want to be collaborating with brands that don't reflect our brand values, that will make our ideal customers feel icky about our brand and maybe not trust our brand's recommendations in the future, right? So just be super thoughtful and intentional, like when it comes to collaborating with another brand or person, maybe you do really like this person, behind the scenes as you in your personal life, but maybe their business isn't necessarily like cohesive with your business's values as much, right? And like that's okay. And it's just something that you need to be thoughtful about. And it's okay to make those executive decisions like, hey, I don't think like now's a good time to collaborate or whatever it is, just because, you have to be thoughtful about who you're collaborating with as your brand, especially because it is a business thing, right? So that's the thing I always like to start with is just be thoughtful and intentional. Like, does this same brand make sense for my brand to partner with? Do they reflect my brand's values? All that stuff. So when it comes to who you should collaborate with, ideally, you want to collaborate with people who have the same or similar ideal customers as you, right? Because this is what makes the most sense for both of you strategically and like for your ideal customers. It's how you're going to get the best results is if you can partner with another brand who works with similar people to you, who sells products to people who would love your product, right? Or whatever it looks like. Always be thoughtful about who is this brand marketing to and does it look similar to my ideal customer too? And it makes sense for their brand in that way as well, right? This is just how we collaborate strategically and it makes the most sense all the way around. The best is probably when you can choose to collaborate with different industries or people who are in your industry but have like a complementary offer to your offers, right? So if you are, a coach for working moms, I'm pulling one of my longtime clients out of my head. So if you're a coach for mothers or something like that, and you offer like mindset coaching for women who are mothers, then maybe you could collaborate with a brand who's a different industry, but whose ideal customer is mothers as well, right? So maybe it's like a mother daughter bracelet or something. I don't know. I'm kind of pulling this out of my butt right now. But anyway, you can totally like collaborate with another industry brand that has still the mothers being the ideal customer. And that would make a lot of sense because you guys have two different offers, but you're focusing on the same person, but you have different audiences and that you probably haven't reached each other's audiences yet, right? And there won't be any overlap when it comes to your offers and stuff like that, right? Or you could choose to partner and collaborate with another coach for working mothers. And maybe one of you has an offer that's like a workbook, PDF of some sort or whatever. And then one of you has an offer that's more like a coaching or an audit or something like that. Like, I don't know. I'm just once again making this up right on the spot. But anyway, the best people to collaborate are the people who have similar ideal customers to you and might be in complementary industries or have a complementary offer to yours, so that you're not really feeling like overly the competition or stepping on each other's toes or anything like that, right? That's probably your best ideal choice and situation when it comes to who you want to choose to collaborate with in a strategic way. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down to earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down to earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. However, that said, it is totally okay if you are in the same industry or if you do offer the same things. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't collaborate with another coach if you're a coach or anything like that, right? But you do just want to make sure that you both understand why you're doing it and how it's going to benefit both of you, right? If you do choose to collaborate with another person who is who is in your industry, who does similar things, who offers similar things, that's great. Just make sure that you're both on the same page about there's plenty of fish in the sea, right? Just make sure that you're on the same page about maybe your ideal client is just a little bit different than my ideal client. We can still work together, but you will maybe have like these types of people coming your way, and I will maybe have more of this type of person coming my way, whatever it is. It ultimately, like, there's not really a rule, a hard and fast rule when it comes to this. I think the most important thing is to make sure that you are both on the same page when it comes to why you're doing it and how it's going to benefit both of you, and make sure that you're both comfortable with it, right? This is one of those situations where you may want to set boundaries beforehand, right? So, if you are somewhat worried about, okay, we both offer exactly the same thing, then it's like, okay, well, maybe the people in my audience who like maybe you just set rules about, I really don't want you like hardcore messaging or pitching yourself to the clients that I'm currently working with or something like that, right? Like maybe that's a boundary that you set. I don't know. But it's always important to just be thoughtful about these sort of things so that no awkwardness needs to really pop up that you didn't think about beforehand, right? So that's what I was saying when it comes to who you should collaborate with. The people who have the same ideal customer as you is a great idea, ultimately, for the most strategic way to do it. And so that you're not stepping on each other's toes, choosing to collaborate with someone who is in a different complementary industry or who does have a different but complementary offer could be a great choice. But honestly, you can collaborate with anyone who truly just feels right to collaborate with for you, right? Like I said, there's no hard and fast rules when it comes to who you want to choose to collaborate with. And if you're feeling drawn to support another business that doesn't really make sense, like logically, or isn't super complimentary for your brand, that's okay. I think it's just important to think then about like, why am I doing this? And then how can I present it to my audience in a way that makes sense to them, right? So like if you just have a friend who sells soaps on Etsy, and you're like, I have like possibly people in my audience could want to buy their soaps. Like it's not necessarily who I've been marketing to or why they're following me, but I want to support my friend and share their business. And maybe, people do want their soaps. Like that's totally cool. It's just thinking about like how to present this to your audience in a way that's like not confusing, right? And then also realizing that your goal for the collaboration is not necessarily to boost your own sales or whatever, as much as it is to just show support to your friend, right? And that might like be lifting up and showcasing one of your brand values of like supportiveness or community or anything like that, right? So it still is beneficial for your brand because then your ideal customers could see you supporting your friend and they will know that supportiveness is like one of your brand values or like that's a reflection of you, right? So it just makes them feel good about it. But, it doesn't necessarily make sense as strategically. And it's just kind of important to think about that sort of stuff. You just really, really want to make sure that you are presenting it to your ideal customers in a way that makes sense, right? So it's like if you do just decide to share one of your soap maker friends like Instagram posts or something, then just give your people, a little context. Like, this is my friend's soap business. Check her out. You know what I mean? So they're not like all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, Kinsey's selling soaps now. What's going on? Which sounds kind of like something I would do. Fun fact, soap was our giveaway. What's it called? The guest present, whatever, party favor for our wedding. And Marta, Brett's mom, made these soaps. My mother-in-law made these soaps, and literally they were such a hit with all of my family was like stuffing like 5 in their purse, I swear, like each of my cousins and stuff. So, which I was encouraging. Don't worry, I wasn't like getting on their back for stealing the soap. But anyway, just a side note about soaps. I love my tangents. But anyway, when it comes to choosing who to collaborate with, your best bet is people who have the same ideal customer as you and maybe complementary industries or offers, right? But you can ultimately choose to collaborate with anyone, share Black-owned businesses, share your friends' businesses, anything like that. As long as it feels good in your soul, it makes sense and is a good reflection of your brand. And as long as you give your ideal customers context as to why you are collaborating with this person. So, man, it's a long way to explain who you should collaborate with. But let's talk about how to plan collaborations, okay? And like I said, this is going to be diving into kind of how to plan collaborations. And then in next week's episode, I'm going to be breaking down 8 different specific ways that you can collaborate with brands on Instagram. So the nitty-gritty details and ideas for, hosting giveaways or doing like Instagram story takeovers and stuff. I will be diving into that in next week's episode. So definitely come back for that one. But today we're going to talk about how you can really start to think about your collaboration, the why, the what, all that stuff, right? So when it comes to how to plan collaborations with other brands, I always want you to start with, why are you doing this? How is it going to benefit both of you? And what do you each want to get out of the collaboration, right? So this is basically just starting with the why, starting with your goals, and really putting yourself into the mindset of what do I want to get out of this? How is it going to benefit me? And then also thinking about the other brand and putting yourself in the other brand's shoes. How is it going to benefit them? Why should they want to do this, right? Then you want to decide what you want your collaboration to look like. And it can look like a lot of different things, right? Like I said, Instagram story takeovers, collaboration reels, live videos, giveaways, lots of stuff. I'm going to be breaking down 8 specific ways to collaborate with other brands on social media, specifically in next week's episode 148. So come back for that one, like I said. But just thinking about and planning and outlining, what do I want the collaboration to look like, right? And I really want to encourage you to keep in mind both of your goals, both of your ideal customers, and then think what makes sense for both of us, right? So like if you're both on Instagram, then, maybe an Instagram collaboration could be good. But if their ideal customers are mostly on Facebook and yours are mostly on Instagram, well, maybe you want to do something for Facebook and Instagram, or just figure out a middle ground there, right? Also, remember to think about the full picture of it doesn't just have to be an Instagram collaboration, right? It could be both Instagram and Facebook. It could be outside of social media as well. You can both send emails to your email list. You could do guest blog posts or interview each other on each other's podcasts. You could do a longer form video for YouTube or something like that, right? You could also possibly talk about featuring each other on each other's websites or something like that. Like, I don't know, whatever makes sense for you guys. But I really want to remind you that it doesn't just have to be one thing. It doesn't have to be one collaboration. It doesn't have to be one platform. You can collaborate in a lot of different ways if it makes sense, because actually that will help make the collaboration more strategic, right? This is something we talk about all the time in marketing, but our attention spans are so minimal these days that we really need to talk about things over and over and over for it to actually sink in for our ideal customers. We need to be hitting them with similar content in our email list and on our social media and all the places, which is nice because repurposing content is way easier than trying to always create new content from scratch in all the places, right? And it's actually more strategic if you can hit people with similar information again and again and again. And the same thing goes for brand collaborations. Maybe you want to do an Instagram live video and then do an Instagram stories takeover and then do a collaboration reel and then send out an email to your email list, sort of thing, right? And that's okay because it's actually more strategic. However, I always caveat these things by saying, if it feels overwhelming to you to do too many things, if it feels overwhelming for both parties to do too many things, that's okay too. Just do a collaboration reel and call it a day. It's fine to just do one thing as well. But it is more strategic to think about the full picture and hit both of your ideal audiences in different forms and again, right? So think about the whole picture when it comes to planning this. It doesn't just have to be social media. It can be email, it can be website, it can be blog posts. And then when it comes to planning your collaborations with other brands, I always like to encourage you to have all of these things thought through first before you go approach another brand for a collaboration. So when it comes to approaching other brands, if you have all of this stuff figured out already and kind of an idea, then it makes it easier to approach the other brands and present the collaboration in a way that feels good to them, in a way where they know exactly why it's going to benefit them and all that stuff, right? So let's talk about, you've already thought through the collaboration. You know kind of what you want it to look like. Hopefully, you know who you want to approach for a collaboration and also why it would be beneficial for you and for them. Now it's time to approach the brand. And the one thing that I want to say when it comes to approaching other brands and seeing if they want to do some sort of collaboration with you is to always just make sure that you make it about them about that brand as you are talking to them, as you are presenting it to them. Make it about them and not about you, right? And or not about your ideal customer either, right? So talk to them about how it's going to benefit them and their brand. Don't approach them and say, "Oh, I think that this is going to be great because it'll make my brand this way." Or don't even approach them and say, "Oh, I think this is going to be great because my ideal customers like blah, blah, blah." You know what I mean? Approach them and say, "I think that this would be really beneficial for us because," and then tell them the things that they will get out of it, right? Because I think that you could really benefit from my ideal customers getting to know you. My ideal customers are seriously like, they need what you're offering. And I truly think that you can help them. And I truly think that you will get more customers out of this collaboration, right? Like, speak to them from like what is the most enticing to them and present it in that way, because that is how you will get them to say yes. This is something that, it seems simple, but we forget about a lot, right? Because we are all kind of the stars of our own lives, sort of thing, and all that stuff. So often when we go talk to someone else, we're talking to them from our point of view and what's beneficial for us. But instead, really put yourself in their shoes and think, ooh, what would make this enticing for them? Like, what would I want to hear if I was in their shoes? So, for example, one of the Feel Good Social Clubbers, Sam, she owns this All the Good Stuff Vale Valley. It's kind of a farmer's market delivery service, right? And she has an online marketplace where she has lots of different Colorado vendors coming and partnering with her, and she hosts their products on her website and stuff like that, right? And so this is a conversation that I've had with her before when it comes to speaking to her ideal customers who are local folks who want to buy Colorado local goods and all that different stuff. It's a little bit different messaging than when she is approaching vendors who she hopes to host on her website, right? So when she is speaking to her Colorado local people who are buying stuff from her website, she's speaking to shopping local. She's speaking to eating healthy and organic. She's speaking to just different types of desires and pain points than when she is speaking to her vendors who she's hoping to get onto her website. That's when she is speaking to increasing their visibility. That's when she's speaking to boosting their sales and all that different stuff, right? And so that's an example I like to use a lot when it comes to how to speak to other brands versus how to speak to your ideal customers. It's a little bit of a different, nuanced messaging, a little bit of a different, nuanced approach. And it's important to think about because often we just completely forget and we start speaking to partners, brand partners, as if they were like our ideal customers, right? Because that's what we're used to. And or we just speak to the benefits for our brand instead of presenting the benefits for their brand. So that is the best way to approach other brands and ask them for a collaboration. Really talk to, why will this benefit them? It will boost their visibility. It will grow their customer base of warm leads. It could possibly boost their sales. And another thing to think about too is it could actually showcase one of their brand values, right? I kind of hinted at this earlier in the episode when I was talking about how, sometimes just sharing a friend's brand, like if I shared my friend's soap company, right, to my Instagram stories or something, it wouldn't necessarily benefit me. I'm basically just sharing her soap company to support her, to, feel supported toward her. But it does showcase my brand value of being supportive and community oriented, right? And that will reflect to my ideal customers who see me being supportive. Oh, Kinsey is a supportive brand. She cares. She wants to support her friends. I like that. It showcases like one of your brand values, right? So that's actually a benefit that you could also point out and present to a brand that you want to collaborate with, right? Especially if you are trying to like possibly collaborate with kind of a quote unquote bigger brand name than your brand name in a way, right? Sometimes we need to like get creative with the way that we present our ideas and our collaborations and think about those like smaller benefits that might not be super obvious, like boosting sales, but is still valuable and important, such as like showing your community oriented value or showing that you are supportive of small businesses to your ideal customers, right? So that's something that you could point out if you are approaching another brand where maybe like their sales probably won't be boosted quite as much, kind of thing, right? Just things to think about. And that said, you may want to keep in mind if one party, if one of the brands in the collaboration is going to benefit more than the other brand in the collaboration, then whoever is going to benefit more might want to put in some of the more like heavy lifting work, right? More of the planning, more of the creating of content, more of whatever, right? If you are trying to collaborate with like a bigger name brand because of their influence, because of their reach, they might have a bigger audience or something like that, and you feel like collaborating with them, you'll benefit more than they will, if possibly you have like a smaller reaching audience or something like that, then you might want to offer, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you, and do not worry, I will do all of the planning and outreach, and I will create most of the content. And basically all you have to do is show up and post these to your Instagram story or something like that, right? Like they'll be more likely to say yes. And they'll also probably like put your brand in a good light, like when it comes to like standing out from the crowd, right? So just another little thing to think about. And then when it comes to, exactly how to approach other brands, I think it's okay to whatever makes the most sense for you, whether it's sending them an email, sending them a social media message, even going into a shop and approaching someone in person could be a good thing too. There's not really a hard and fast rule about how to go about actually contacting these people and asking them if they want to collaborate. It's just what makes most sense for you, right? One thing I will say, if it is an Instagram message, if that's how you want to reach out to someone and ask for a brand collaboration, and you really don't have an established relationship with them yet, you definitely want to be careful about how you word your Instagram message, right? Try to make sure that it's very easygoing and human feeling. You may want to consider, spending a few days commenting on their Instagram posts and maybe messaging them about a few other things before that and stuff, just to kind of establish a relationship. And I'm just saying this too because one, it's genuine and it helps people feel like you're more friendly and less like you want something from them, right? But two, we get a lot of like robot / like troll messages on Instagram and social media in general, right? From people who are like, oh, just like selling to you or asking for like a brand collaboration, but it doesn't feel real and all that different stuff. So if you are going about just reaching out on Instagram or in a social media message of some sort, seeing if a brand wants to collaborate with you, then that is where you might want to be like very aware and careful about how you are pitching this collaboration to them and try to make it feel as good as possible and as genuine as possible and as real as possible, right? Okay, my friend. So the final thing I just want to say when it comes to brand collaborations and all that jazz is the final thing you want to do as you're going into a brand collaboration is make sure that both parties understand exactly what the collaboration is, right? I want you to make sure that you are telling the person that you're collaborating with exactly what the collaboration is, exactly why both of you are going to benefit from it, and then how it's going down, right? Like be very, very clear and communicative about these three things: the what, the why, and the how. And then also think about the expectations and the boundaries that you want to set for both parties and make sure that you communicate those very clearly, right? So expectations, like who is doing what, like who is posting what when, who's creating what, or whatever your collaboration looks like. Make sure that you are just setting these expectations, that both parties have agreed on them, and that it's very, very clear what needs to happen, right? And then if there are any boundaries that you need to set, right? Such as like I realize that we're in similar industries, and I would appreciate it if you didn't directly message this list of my active clients while they're active clients of mine, or something like that, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just making up that boundary. I'm sure there are other boundaries that we could set when it comes to brand collaborations and stuff, right? Whatever that looks like for you, great. There's not really hard and fast rules. The most important thing is to just be very clear about the what, why, how, the expectations, and the boundaries as you're going into the collaboration, because that is how you're going to make it feel like a success for both parties. That's how you're going to establish a deeper friendship and supportive relationship with each other. And that's how you're going to see the most success out of the collaboration, right? So anyway, my friend, I am so glad that you tuned in to this week's episode about brand collaborations. I hope that you found it super helpful and insightful. If you did, definitely reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at feelgoodsocial. Send me a message. Give me a follow. If you send me a message and tell me you came from the podcast, I will definitely give you a follow back, because I love connecting with my people over there. And let me know if you do have any questions at all. Like I said, next week's episode is going to be deep diving into 8 different specific ways that you can collaborate with other brands on Instagram. For example, Instagram lives or story takeovers or anything like that. We'll definitely be talking about 8 different ways you can collaborate. So come back next week for that episode. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of this week. I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.